Well, this week, the URA is celebrating 30 years of service and serving Uganda with a theme that is growing together as well as a country. So, and growing and serving you together. 30 years of service, Uganda Revenue Authority. And today, we do have an event live from the Uganda Revenue Authority headquarters that we are going to be giving you live on here on Smart 24 TV, and also live from Mestil Hotel in Zambia. We're also going to be giving you a feed relating fintech and what is actually happening. But right about this particular moment, I want us to first say to the Bomba business that is actually happening, the URA, as they're celebrating 30 years of growing together with Ugandans. You are the tax collectors. Let's first have a look at what is happening at the Uganda Revenue Authority headquarters.
We want to simplify registration. We at URA, we think every Ugandan has an obligation to pay tax. So we are trying to simplify the registration process so that we allow everyone to get a TIN. That's the first stage. Yes, Mildred, you should have a TIN. Whether you have imported, whether you're in business or not, have a TIN as a basic. Have a tax identification number. And one is that. And we have been doing that by making sure we don't stay in Kampala alone. We are trying to move up country. Part of the reason why we bought the buses, if you saw the buses now, we have regional buses, is to do that. There are some hard to reach areas, and we have taxpayers who are doing business, and they are not registered. Yeah. So we want to make sure that at least we expand the register. Currently, we are around 18,000 and want to grow it to 2.5 by the end of this financial year. So if you can grow it to 2.5 million taxpayers, we will be grateful. We also doing something in domestic taxes that would help us. You've heard about the IFRIS and the DTS, electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing system. So we want to say, if you're buying these things from a supermarket, please ask for a receipt. We had started a campaign called Impari City Young. If every Ugandan would buy something and ask for a receipt, not just this cash sale receipt, we are looking at an electronic invoiced receipt, then indirectly every Ugandan is paying a tax. And this is the campaign we are on. We've started with supermarkets because most people go to these supermarkets. We've started with manufacturers. We are moving. We want at least every Ugandan to support us in this endeavor. When you go to buy something, ask for a receipt. Ask for a receipt. Because that's when you know that actually on this receipt there was VAT. There was some tax which was paid. And we'll get it easy. It becomes easy for us to correct. For our manufacturers, of course, we have gone into making sure that there are some excisable goods. If it is alcohol, it is cement, it is water. We are going to keep on adding, the minister will add more items, that you should have a tax stamp. So when you have a tax stamp and you're producing whatever water you're drinking and it has a stamp, means you've paid tax. So if you're drinking this Rwenzori or Wava water and you don't see a stamp, you alert us. That person has not paid taxes. And of course, we also started a facility called installment payment. Installment payment is where we saw people stranded, goods were stuck with us, banks were refusing to give them loans. I don't know why, Fabian, you're refusing to give them loans. So we said we are stuck with people's goods. So what do? Let's do an installment payment arrangement. So if you are to pay 120 million, pay us like 50% and take your goods and sell, and then you come back and pay. We saw it work for us. It did not stop. Instead of holding revenue, we came up with that measure until the banks now came up and are picking it up, are beginning to support our taxpayers. So there are so many, Mildred, that we have done to simplify our processes, to improve and support the taxpayers to continue paying, and we'll continue to do so. We ask for your advice and support And we hope we'll get there and collect this 24.6 trillion for the development of Uganda so that we get out of this dependence syndrome. Yeah. Always borrowing. We can reach that level where Uganda can collect all the taxes, like other developed countries have done. But choking on loans, and it's not the way to go. And we need Ugandans to support us in this cause. Thank you so much, Mildred.
All right, thank you very much. Our Acting Commissioner General, also Mr. Ebo Kagumire, who is in charge of customs now. When Mr. Kagumire talks about 24.6 trillion target, we say tighten your seatbelt, but also just be responsible in any case and follow the procedure just to be able to thrive in business. As we continue with our discussion, we'll be focusing on some key areas, including loan management. We'll be looking at the investment climate. We'll be looking at intellectual property rights. And we'll also be looking at marketing channels, especially given the fact that during this COVID-19 era, there are many struggling businesses. Some have closed down. Some are really trying to come up again. Now that the president is talking about reopening the economy fully after 4.8 million of us are vaccinated. I will not forget to remind us to go and get vaccinated because it's important for all of us to be protected against COVID-19. Let's also get one of our panelists, and that is Ruth B. Nzikamsoke, who is a head skills development facility at the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, on what basically are the priorities of the entrepreneurs and business managers during the pandemic. Back in the day before such a pandemic, I mean, you would do everything and anything, yes, but what are those key issues that one needs to prioritize on during such a time?
Thank you very much, Mildred, and thank you to our viewers. I want to applaud URE for organizing this event, not for only this year, last year and the other year.
Yes.
And I've been with them for all this time. So for me, I think having this discussion is quite very important because things have completely changed. I mean, if it was the normal, we would have all this room filled. But it's not the case. And I think what businesses have learned, and they need to learn, is that things cannot be as usual.
Sure.
You know what happens is that a number of the business people we have would say, my mother, my grandfather used to do this thing like this. I have been doing it for the last 15 years and it's working. COVID has taught us the game has changed. We need to be a little bit more cautious. I can tell you, there are a number of businesses that never used to take risk as a key element in their business because they were comfortable. I have been managing my hotel for the last 20 years. It has grown and I'm making money. And I've been going to Japan every week or every 2 weeks. They never thought that a single day will come and the whole world would stop. What does this teach us? As a business, staff or allocating resources for risk and understanding risk. A number of times we say it is for Fabian in the banks. You know, for banks, risk is key. You cannot find a small business saying, oh, I need to learn about risk. Now, this is the time to allocate resources, to allocate personnel, to plan for risk and know a day will come and we no longer have parties. A day will come and the bars are closed. Just ask yourself, if I was running my bar for the last 20 years, during COVID, what is happening to me? Did I plan what I will do? Do you know what is happening to school owners? If for 2 years you are not earning, meaning if you don't learn how to diversify your businesses, that is also critical. Diversification of products. Last time I was telling people that, you know, if Coca-Cola as a company would say, in this particular time, let me go on my backpack and launch a new product. You've seen their bushera, you've seen their milk. Why is it now? Why? Maybe it is now what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, the wedding numbers had gone a little bit down. You know, we consume a lot of sodas. Sure, all right? Sure. And the hotels are closed. But with bushera, even when a child is at home and the flavored milk, I can still take it.
Yes.
You get it? And in a business, we don't think like that. We need to think a little bit more. And for businesses, more than ever, you need more skilled workers. You cannot just you need somebody that I can say Michael is able to market. Michael is able to drive the truck and deliver the product. It is not only about saying, she's very good with customer care. It doesn't work. You should be able to have an accountant that is also able to sell, that is also able to go online. And this, for me, is very critical. The issues of digital skills. I do remember a number of times we would use internet to chat, to just, send emails. Things have changed. Those businesses that utilize IT during COVID have made a lot of money, and it won't stop. It has taught us that actually, and I know I talked to a number of young people that had shops in town, small shops in town. Yeah. When they locked, they said, what can I do? They called me, they said, what can I do? I said, you know what? You have your internet, you know how to use WhatsApp, you know how to use Instagram, you can use your Facebook, just go home. You don't even need to pay the rent. Because one told me they are demanding 6 million. I said, you can't afford it. She went home, got online. The money she is making online is actually now 10 times what she was making in the shop. Mm-hmm. You have to pay rent, you have to pay workers, and I think that for me, the digital era has come and it will not stop. Mm. It is not going anywhere. One of the other things that is also critical for businesses is that have a good relationship with your bankers, your financial institution, and I'm glad Fabian is here because things changed. If you're this person who never cared, this was a very trying moment whereby if you know your banker, it is easier, and it should not stop right now. Better businesses normally have better relationships with their bankers, better relationship with their tax institutions. I can tell you, if you had a number of people do not bother, URA, when they see URA, they run away. This was a time to test businesses that if you have a good, and they had. I actually want to applaud the CG because I can tell you when COVID came, we saw a lot of flexibility with URA. Yeah. And please keep it up. Because for me, I say we are in a marriage, it's a relationship. And a number of people that utilize URA actually benefited a lot. Yeah. Because they would understand, sit with them, talk to them, and you're able to get a solution. And this is teaching us that actually these institutions that we see, they should not be far away from us. They should be a little bit nearer. And one of the things normally what employers do is that they say, these are my most important workers, these are clerical workers. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you in COVID, he told you that, Uganda wanted the money, traders had to trade, manufacturers had to produce, but the guys were very important by the time were the truck drivers. Yeah. Did we know they are important?
Yes.
Did we know they were? Not until COVID. The people who saved our lives, even we as people, health workers, these are clerical. Normally, it is teaching us that actually all workers are important. Very, very important. Sometimes we don't invest in them. And for businesses, I am telling you, when you're planning for investment, skilling your workers, skill all of them because you need them. The other key issue I want to emphasize is business continuity. Let me tell you something, Mildred. During COVID, everybody thought I am dying next. I don't know if you didn't think about it.
Sure.
There is a day when I almost lost about very close people to me, about 5 in 1 week. In 1 week. And I said, God, if I can survive at least for the next 2 months, I would thank you. Because I can tell you, everybody almost got COVID. Everybody almost got COVID. And there was not a single time in the last 30 years in Uganda that we felt death was much more closer. Maybe during the HIV/AIDS period. Maybe that time. Yeah. And I think what it teaches business people is that you must be able to know that the business has to live beyond you. Because we lost so many people who were managing businesses, running businesses, but if it is only you who knew all the tactics of your business, if it is only you who was managing the business, then it wouldn't survive. And most businesses we have in Uganda are family-owned businesses. I share the experience of some of the family-owned businesses that I work with that I've been serving and supporting on the board. And there are people that we lost that I typically knew. I will not stop using these 2 examples because I am proud of them. One example is the example of Regina Muchivi of Uganda Funeral Services. I have served on her board for the last 10 years. And I am glad that during COVID, when she died, His sons are now running the business. So Joseph and Peter, I am proud of you for taking over and running your mother's business. Why? Because she left. She didn't know she would leave. She would die.
Yeah.
You get it? It is a very complicated business. She took time to train her sons and involve them in the business. Another example of the other business I'm very proud of is where we lost Hajat Aisha of Aloish Organics. She was another lady that was so close to me. Very young children. The last born is 5 to 6 years, about 6 years. The firstborn is about 25 years. Dawn, we are proud of you. When the mother died, even when she died, they did not close the business. They worked. Because she said, we must. The same thing with funeral services. And the same thing I remember Murana told his children, if I die, don't close the businesses. And I can tell you, these are young children, but they are able. So I'm speaking to you business owners. You have your sons, you have your wives. You don't trust your family, you trust outsiders. This is the time to have Ugandan businesses that can stand the test of time. How do we do it? Let's train our children. Let us involve them. Let us give them responsibilities. Let us open our businesses to institutions that are able to support us and advise us. Let us use opportunities like this one to learn and be able to see how we can make our business a little bit much more stronger.
Okay. Wow. Speaking about business continuity, I think you speak to the heart of many businesses in the country. Even the businesses you consider as being huge, they think they need to think twice. And yes, more than ever, we felt death very, very close. Ideally, you would interview someone and a week after they tell you that person is dead. It was really terrible. But well, allow me now call upon, we'll be getting Ruth once again speaking to us. Crystal Kabajwara, who is also the Director Tax at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, even in COVID-19 pandemic, government still needs the taxes. URS still needs to hit its target. I mean, everything needs to continue running because, after all, services have to be coming through. Meaning that even when I am struggling in a business, I need to pay the taxes. There have been some government interventions and the expectations as well that the businesses did have from the government and the various tax bodies and everyone now. How is business community, in your own view and the research you've done, coping up in COVID-19, including their expectations of what would be coming in from government side, including the likes of Uganda Revenue Authority?
Thank you, Mildred, and good morning, our viewers. Thank you to the Uganda Revenue Authority for this initiative. It is welcome. Taxpayer engagement is always a bonus. Getting closer to your taxpayers and as well as educating them is quite helpful. Now, Mr. Kagumire spoke to some of the measures that the government has put in place to support businesses, and I think it's always important to recognize and applaud the initiatives that government has done, both from a tax perspective as well as from a non-tax perspective. From a tax perspective, for example, the waiver of penalties and interest up to 20th of June have been very helpful for taxpayers in terms of giving them headroom and flexibility with their cash flows. In 2020, for example, there was the introduction of the withholding VAT, and thankfully the URA was kind enough to stop the implementation of that as they saw the impact of COVID on businesses. Yeah. So all that is applauded. And when I was preparing for this event, I took time to actually speak to some people in the business community across the spectrum, speaking to business owners, small, medium, large enterprises, just to understand from them the feel and what they expect more from the government. And I found that the answers their responses were quite consistent around areas, for example, certainty. Right now, times are so uncertain. And every bit of certainty is helpful to business owners. Let me give you an example. Every June, when the budget is read, many business owners hold their